Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. This is a sad day for me because this is our last Sunday of the challenge, and I've really grown to enjoy these Sundays, getting to dig a little bit deeper and jump into the spiritual side of life. And so, thank you guys for entertaining these Sunday morning calls, um, and putting up with me. And so this morning is going to be a special one. It, uh, it's all about people, right? And so quickly, the prompt for today is to love on and encourage people. And guys, here's the deal: many of you, right? You didn't used to be a pastor. You may not even feel like you're that great of an encourager. You're not that positive, but we all have the ability to make the people's lives around us better. We all have the ability. And so it would be wasted on my part if I did not use some of this opportunity to simply encourage you guys to understand that you are capable of far more than you think you are. And just because up to now you don't see yourself as an encourager, that doesn't mean you can't live the rest of your life as one. And so this is the practice that we're putting in to help get us there, guys, because what I believe more than anything is that we live in a world full of hurting people, us included. We live in a world full of hurting people. And so in this whole thing, right, the whole premise of this challenge, to get better at video, to get in front of more people, to ultimately grow our business, none of that should matter at the expense of leaving people worse than we could have. And so I refuse to coach and teach on just principles and practices that help our businesses grow without reminding us that there is something greater at stake, and it is the lives of other people that we get the opportunity to speak into, breathe a fresh breath of life into. And that's why I get so excited about this. And so as we jump in, good morning. Good morning. Sarah, I know it is sad. Good morning. You're so welcome. It's an honor. And so guys, to me, this is what it's about, because what I'm discovering, and I'm gonna jump into the preaching part here in a second, but what I'm discovering in this challenge is I don't ask enough of anyone. Like, I give and give and give and give and give. And then I look up and go, man, I sure would like to speak more. I sure wish that I had more people using this service. I sure wish this was better. And I've realized, like, I'm building up all this relational currency, but I'm not asking for anything back. And just in the last few days, I'm truly begin to start exchanging relational currency for, hey man, who do you know? Hey friend, who do you know that would be interested in this? And I'm going, oh my gosh, it works every time. But I've convinced myself that nobody cares. People are so busy, they don't have time for you. And guys, it's all about the people we're pouring into. So start pouring into people. Start pouring into people. And you're going to be blown away today when you just start jumping on social media, guys, with zero agenda. Zero agenda. You are literally showing up there to love on and encourage your people. That's all you're doing. And people are going to take notice. And so I want to remind you of this. This doesn't work overnight. If this isn't already who you naturally are, it may seem weird to your friends at first. And so for some of you, you may even need to say in your video, you know what, guys, for some of you watching this, you might not even recognize this version of me, because if I'm being honest, like I haven't been that positive of a person. I'm not naturally encouraging. And so some of you watching this video right now, you may have up to now been more discouraged by me than encouraged by me. But I'm here to tell you that I'm changing and my life is going to forever be different because I'm going to be an encourager over a discourager. I'm going to be a motivator over pulling people down. And so you might need to give a little preface for that. I don't know. But there's no greater joy in the world than watching people's lives get better because you had a small position in that. And so I can't wait to hear the stories of this and how this is impacting people's lives. And so now I want to jump in because, guys, I'm super excited about this. I've been saving this one for the last Sunday morning. And because I want to share a super obscure story from the Old Testament in 2 Kings chapter 13. And it's only 4 verses long. So it's tiny, right? Some of you have probably read this if you're just trying to like chronologically read the Bible and you just go right past it. And it's never stuck in your head because you didn't understand it. And so this story is there's a king, King Jehoash. He is the king of Israel. The Bible tells us just enough that he had done wrong in the eyes of the Lord, but the Lord didn't want to punish Israel, and so he didn't necessarily get what he deserved. And there was a prophet that you may have heard the name of, Elisha, not Elijah with a J, Elisha with an SH. And the story says that Elisha falls sick. And so he's about to die. And so the king is super sad, but the king wasn't sad because Elisha was dying. The king was sad because his favor was because of Elisha. And so now he's worried about what's going to happen when Elisha passes away because he's the only reason why blessing is falling on us. And so there's this fascinating story where the king Jehoash comes to Elisha, who's in his room, right, laying on his bed, dying, and he needs this blessing, and so he's going down, and of course back then, right, there's always battles going on. There's always other kingdoms trying to take land and take people and livestock and resources, and so there's always things happening that are not of the greatest. And so Elisha tells him to go get a bow and arrows. And then he says to open the east window and shoot an arrow out the window. And when you go and research and begin to, see what theologians say about this, right, that he was showing to him like what could be yours. And so he shoots this arrow, and then he asks him to do something incredibly peculiar. He says, now strike the arrows. The rest of the arrows you have, strike them. And so he begins to bang the arrows on the ground, and he only does it 3 times. And Elisha now gets mad, and he says, why would you only strike the ground 3 times? Why would you not have done it 5 or 6? And he basically says that if you would have done it 5 or 6 times, you would have completely defeated the army that's coming against you. But because you only struck it 3 times, you will only defeat them 3 times. And the Bible goes on to say later in that chapter that they defeated them 3 times, but then were ultimately defeated. And so this is just this little bitty story tucked away inside of 2 Kings in the Old Testament. And so that in and of itself, I'm not a theologian. I'm not brilliant, right? And so I typically try to find people that I trust to help break down scripture and expand on things that I may not know to do myself. And so years and years and years ago, my dad and I read a book together called The Last Arrow by Erwin McManus. And I encourage you guys, if you have not read it, go pick it up. It's unbelievable. And there's so much conviction. I've felt so much conviction just in beginning to study this again to prepare for you guys. And so in this book, his entire book is about the last arrow, right? From the quiver of King Jehoash. And the impact that this last arrow had on a nation, on a family, on an individual. And it's fascinating. And so I wanted to just give you guys this morning a few encouraging quotes from this book about this story from the Old Testament. And I want to challenge us as we're nearing the end of this challenge. Guys, the saddest part of this challenge, there's been unbelievable things about this challenge, but the saddest part of this challenge is two things. One, all the people that signed up for it but did nothing, right? That's the first sad thing to me, is the almost 700 people that said yes to sign up for this challenge and yet did nothing. And then the other sad thing is going to be for all of you that have done this challenge, whether you've done 10 or 20 or 30 or all 31. And then a week after, you will look up and you will have gone back to the same version of yourself that you were before this challenge started. Right? That's the saddest part for me as well. And we could take this and apply this to any aspect of our lives. And so this story is about going beyond what we believe we're capable of. And one of the things that Erwin says in this book is he says, what if the life you really want and the future God wants for you is hiding right now in your biggest problem, your worst failure, your greatest fear? We spend so much of our time avoiding discomfort, avoiding pain, right? Looking for the good things where we can get into a comfort zone, settle into a routine, find our rhythm. When oftentimes it is in the hardest parts of our lives where we ultimately reap the greatest reward. And this is so true for my life. What if the future God has for you is hiding in your biggest problem, your worst failure, or your greatest fear? What an incredible question to think about. He also says, there's nothing more tragic than to come to the end of life and realize we have lived too small. If you listen to what is calling you, you will come alive. Do you feel alive? Because some of you may already be here. And if you are, that's awesome. But for some of you, I want to challenge you, because sometimes I think we look at calling, we look at passion as what we do. Like a nurse has to be passionate about what she does as a nurse, what he does as a nurse. A firefighter has to be passionate about putting out fires, right? A teacher has to be passionate about math or science or history, right? Most of the time we talk about passion, like a basketball player is passionate about basketball. And what I want to challenge you guys with this morning is, what if your passion never comes in your vocation, but in your impact? What if you're losing the passion you have for mortgages? What if you're losing the passion you have for being in insurance? But maybe this morning you need to be reminded that that is simply the vehicle for you to accomplish your calling. Because maybe your calling is more about the people you get to serve rather than what you do to serve them. And I look back over the last 20 years of my life, having been a pastor and then a roofer and then building websites for people and then now doing what I do now. And I look at how the things that I did always changed, but the impact I wanted to have on people never did. And so, what is your calling? Have you found it? Maybe it is as simple as what I believe mine is: leaving people better than I find them, period. Right? That's my goal. Something to think about. Something else he says is, he said, God does not choose because of our ability, but because of our availability. You know, guys, I don't know. I don't know where you stand spiritually in your life. I don't know what that looks like. Um, but I can only tell you my story, and and my story has been a roller coaster of feeling qualified and unqualified, and qualified and unqualified. And what I've learned is that in all the seasons where I've felt qualified, God's used me the least. In all those seasons that I felt like I was measuring up, that I was good enough, that I deserved to be here, I look back and God used me the least. But in my seasons where I go, God, I don't know what I'm doing, I am so lost, I feel aimless, He uses me in extraordinary ways. And so God is not choosing you because of your ability. He's going to choose you because of your availability. Are you available? I need to do a better job of just going, God, use me today. I don't know what that looks like, but use me today. However you can, right? I am available. Here are my hands. Put something in them that you want to use to impact people. This does incredible things for the mindset that we bring to everything we do, for the attitude that we bring to everything that we do. Maybe this is for you. He also says most of us are not in danger of ruining our lives. We're in danger of wasting them. And guys, this is so random, but some of you know this and a lot of you don't. I'm a huge wrestling fan, like WWE wrestling. I've loved it since I was a little kid. My dad used to take my brother and I to wrestling events all the time. And by the grace of God, I've been able to get my 8-year-old to love it too. And a few days ago, one of the really popular wrestlers at the age of 36 dropped dead. And they did a tribute to him Friday night at the live event, and I look over, you know, and I'm kind of tearing up, and I look over and Everly is crying, and I found myself emotional for two reasons. One, I was sad for, you know, the impact that he won't be able to have, because none of us wake up thinking that today is our last day. But then I also found myself like happy or jealous that in 36 years of life, he had accomplished and impacted so many people. And I began to ask myself, like, what if that was me? Right? What if tomorrow, like, I don't wake up? I would be very disappointed with where I am in my life, with the opportunities that I left on the table, where I settled for average, where I settled for comfort, and all those missed opportunities. And it just gets you thinking, like, we're not in danger of ruining our lives, we're in danger of wasting them. And this has just made a profound impact in me just in the last few days. And so the beauty of this, guys, is that every day that we get to wake up with breath in our lungs. We get to start over. We get to start over, right? One of my favorite verses in scripture is Lamentations 3:23, where he says, my mercies are new each morning. My mercies are new each morning. And so why are you waking up beating yourself down? Why are you waking up regretting what happened yesterday? Because my mercies are new each morning. So maybe if somebody on here, you just need to hear that you get a fresh start. You get to wipe the slate clean. You get to rewrite your story. And what I want to end with is this. This is one of my favorite quotes, and it's in a class that I teach. And this is from the book, The Last Arrow. How many times in my life have I thought I failed, but actually the only thing that happened was that I quit? Guys, how easy is it for us to walk around thinking we're failures? How often does the world, right, show us how often we failed and fallen short? And the beauty of this is, as I look at my life, there are really very few moments of failure in my life. There's just a lot of moments of quitting. And so if I can look inside of myself, have enough humility to ask the right questions, I don't have to stay here. I'm allowed to go do more. And so if you're feeling like a failure right now, you're not. You're just a quitter. And we can turn that around as fast as we want to. So I don't know, I may have I may have just shared all this for myself, because I don't know who needed to hear it, but I know that I needed to hear it. And so, guys, failure is not final. You are full of incredible potential. For those of you that have accomplished a ton, and for those of you that haven't accomplished as much as you've wanted, you are destined for more. And I believe it starts by serving and loving other people. Right? There's men and women all around this planet that are still living and have since passed away, that they built their entire lives for what was for them, and they died miserable and unhappy and disappointed. And then there's also tons of men and women that live their lives with the desire to serve others. And whether they ended it with as much money as they wanted, or as big of a house as they wanted, they left this place feeling like it was better than when they showed up. And so let's go leave this world better than we found it. Let's go love and serve people today. I hope you're encouraged. We've got 4 days left after today, Monday through Thursday, and then this challenge is done. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Have an incredible Sunday. I'll see y'all in the morning.